Salvete discipuli. Today we're going to talk about pronouns. Pronomina in Latin. I'm just going to put pronouns down here on the board. And this is a big subject. And it can be confusing if you don't keep your wits about you. So be very focused while I'm talking here. We do have pronouns in English. They're one of the 8 parts of speech in English, Latin, German, whatever language you're studying. Every language has pronouns. Every Indo-European language has pronouns. And this covers chapters 13, 14, even 15 and 16. They all run through a pronoun phase there. So let me start with personal pronouns. Personal pronouns. Remember we talked about them chapters and chapters ago, and I told you basically that the Romans didn't need to use a personal pronoun, but they did have them in case they did want to use them. And that's what we're going to focus now. Okay, let's take I love. We're going to conjugate the verb to love. You love. This is very familiar here. He loves, or she loves, or it loves. We love. And I'm going to put y'all in here to differentiate from the singular you. And they love. Okay. And we all know that this would be amo. Let me use another color here. This would be, the verb part would be amo, amas. This is old news here. And we're using our personal endings, amamus, amatis, and amat. Here we have O-S-T, mus, tis, nt. Those are the personal endings because it tells me who is actively doing the verb. I'm doing it, you're doing it. He or she or it is doing it. We are doing it. Y'all are doing it. I don't need a pronoun. But Latin does have pronouns, and Latin does use pronouns, not all the time, not as often as we use them in English. In English, we have to use the pronoun. Otherwise, we just don't know who's doing the verb because we don't have specifically a special ending for every single verb form. The Romans do. But if they want, here's what they use. Again, let me use another color here. All right. The word for I, ego. The word for you, tu. It's the same in French, Spanish, and Portuguese. So pronounced a little different in French, tu. Okay? Tu in Espanol. And is, ella, it. That is I, yes, there. He, she, and it. That's not strictly a personal pronoun. They use it for the personal pronoun, but actually it's a weak this or that. But they use it to mean he, she, and it. It's a, excuse me, misspelling here. Got it. Id. Right there. It means it. Then over here, the word for we is nos. You get the word nous in French and nosotros in Espanol from that. And here we have vos, and you get vosotros in Spanish from that. And vous en français. And they would be the plurals of these, would be ee, ai, and aa, if you needed to use they. You don't see these used a lot. You will now and then. For example, the word ea used for she, you'll see that every now and then in your translations. Okay, so that's the personal pronoun. Each one of these pronouns is declined. Each one of these pronouns is declined. And let's do decline right here. Ego, mei, mihi, may. You'll find these all in the back of your book in the grammar section. Remember, I'm not teaching in class. The class I'm teaching is Latin 1 online. This CD is simply another resource to use. I'm like a download sheet. Excuse me, I'm like a PowerPoint. Or, excuse me, dispense me. Or I am like an audio or video file. So I'm another resource for you to use in understanding this chapter. So ego, mei, mihi, may. This I, of me, to me, me is a direct object, and me is in the ablative. Like stay away from me. May. Okay? In fact, that would have a long mark over it. May. So nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, and ablative. I'll just put this here. Nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, and ablative. So I told you they don't really use these pronouns all the time. Well, why do they use them at all? They use them to emphasize. For example, if I say, I love you, ego, te amo, I'm emphasizing the fact that I love you. Excuse me. Next, we have the second person pronoun. It is also declined to, tui, tivi, te, and te. Tu, tui, tivi, te, te. Nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, and ablative. Now in your National Latin exam, you will see the nominatives and accusatives of these used. You won't see the other cases, but in our book we're learning of all the different forms. For example, give me a book. Da mihi librum. Da mihi librum. Excuse me. The next one, the third person there, you'll find this declined. I'm not going to write this out on the board because it's very long. But this is the singular and this is the plural nominative. And you can see the rest of the declension in your book. It looks very much like the first and second declensions. For example, the accusative plural of the masculine would be eos. Looks just like the declension in the second declension. The ea here, the ablative singular, ea with a law mark, just like you'd expect. Okay? And that is the a in the nominative and accusative plural because it's neuter. So this is masculine, feminine, and neuter. So there you are. Now here, vos, the you plural form, this is declined in the plural. Vos, vestri, you'd expect vestrorum, vestri, vobis, vos, vobis. In the Catholic Church and the Mass, when they say, peace be with you, they say, pax vobiscum. Pax vobiscum here. Let me say one thing about that little word cum. It's a preposition and it means with, but when you use it with a pronoun, they like to take and put the pronoun in front. For example, peace be with you is pax tecum. Pax means peace. Pax tecum. They just like to do that. They do that in Spanish with contigo, with you, or conmigo, with me. Come with me. Ven conmigo. En español. Okay, Latin is the same way. It just sounds, they like the sound of that. They say me cum, with me, me cum, instead of cum me. So be aware of that in your translations. When you see that, it is not a mistake. That's just the way the Romans like to say it because it sounds nice. Then over here, the word nos, I skipped it there, the word for we. Nos, nostri, that's the genitive plural. Nobis, nos, nobis. If you say pray for us, ora pro nobis. Pro nobis, pro is a preposition taking the ablative here. So nos, nostri, nobis, nos, nobis. So that means we, of us, to us, and from us. Using all the different cases here, nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, and ablative. So all these pronouns are declined, and you need to be aware of them. Keep your dictionaries handy, your grammar reference handy, probably your grammar reference. It's all in your book in the back, in the reference section, all these pronouns. Okay. Now, these are the personal pronouns. There's more. Let me erase this. You knew there would be more. Okay, there are demonstratives and there are reflexives. Let me do reflexives first. Okay, we're still talking about pronouns. Reflexive. And this is in the back of your book too. You have to look a little for it. Reflexive pronouns will drive you crazy in French and Spanish. They don't drive you crazy though in Latin. They are more deliberate in Latin. When we put the word self on the end of a pronoun, it makes it, for example, I hurt myself. I hurt myself. Okay? In Latin, ego, dolio, me. The Romans would say ego me dolio. They like to put the direct object. I hurt myself. Okay? So when you wanted to say myself, you use the reflexive pronoun there. Himself is se. He sees himself in the mirror. Videt, se, in speculo. Speculum is the word for mirror. In speculo is the allelative to go with the preposition in there. He sees himself in the mirror. This is reflexive, reflecting back to the subject of the sentence. Okay, here you have a reflexive, me, say. So I'm going to focus on the third person reflexive, and of course te could be reflexive too. You see yourself. You see yourself. We days te. Okay? So there is no nominative reflexive, obviously, because it does reflects back to the nominative by the nature of its definition. Sui, sibi, say, and say. Genitive, dative, accusative, and ablative. There is no nominative. Okay? Because you wouldn't have a nominative reflexive. Because these reflect back to the nominative. All right. That's as complicated as the reflexive goes. So when you want to see the word self, you're going to have a reflexive, either may, te, or say. All right? That'll be the gist of it. Now you have also an intensive pronoun. An intensive pronoun. And that's ipse. I'm not going to go through the entire declension of this pronoun, but I want to make you aware of what it does. The intensive pronoun is used for emphasis. I myself will cook dinner. Ego, ipse. So the intensive pronoun is ipse, ipsa, and ipsud. Masculine, feminine, and neuter. It has singular and plural. I've just put the nominative singular forms down there. And you can look at the rest of the declension up in the back of your book. But that's what I myself cook. Let's see, kokeo, dinner, kanon. Okay? Ego ipse, kokeo kanon, or kanon kokeo. I myself cook dinner. So there you are. And it's no big deal, but that's what the intensive pronoun is. So you see those things there. Now, something even more common, in fact, it's probably the most common of all, are the demonstrative pronouns, adjectives, hic and ille. Hic, hike, hop, and ille, illa, and illid. Okay, this word means this, and this word means that. Obviously, it's going to be a common word in any language, this and that. We even see ille used as a word for he. You'll see that referring back to somebody mentioned in another sentence. They'll say ille referring to he, and you'll see a note in the margin on there. Okay, so we have hic and ille. These are declined. And you can see the declension of these pronouns in the back of the book. I'm not going to write it all up here now because it's right there for you in the back of the book. And if I look very quickly here, let me see if I can, I'm looking at 13. The declension of ille is on page 137. The declension of isse is on page 136. The declension of ego and tu, nos, and vos are at the bottom of page 137. The reflexives, I see them at the top of page 138. Then I see hic, hi, cock at the bottom of page 140, and ipse, ipsa, ipsum at the top of page 141. So all this information is right here in the back of your book. The back of your book is just as important as the front of the book. It has a dictionary, has drills and exercises, which you've been doing for events, and of course it has a grammar reference here too, to explain everything to you just like I'm doing on this video. Okay, these are going to be very common. So if you see words that begin with ILL It means that something. These are adjectives that are going to agree with the noun that they modify. Hick, hi, cock, masculine, feminine, neuter. They're going to agree. They are demonstrative adjectives. Let me put it here, demonstrative, because it points out something, demonstro. Demonstrative adjectives. And they're used as demonstrative pronouns also. They can be used as pronouns and adjectives. So that's what those two words are all about, hic and ille. All right? And I think that just about wraps up our discussion on the pronouns. I don't see any other information here except be aware of the possessive adjectives. When I say my, your, his, hers, ours. These are called possessive adjectives. Of course we have them in English. Those are English words there. Possessive adjectives. You probably know these, but you just didn't name them. Put the labels on them. Possessive adjectives. So this is where you're getting you're learning your English grammar here in Latin. And noster is the word for our. It's an adjective, just like bonus, bona, bonum. Noster, nostra. Let me erase our demonstrative adjective up here so it gets in the way. Doesn't get in the way. And nostrum here. The Our Father, those of you who say that in your church, it's Pater Noster. Pater Noster. My, meus, right here. You will see these on your National Latin exam. Meus, mea, and meum. Masculine, feminine, neuter. And they're declined in the first and second declensions. These are not third declension adjectives. Your, wester, westra, and westrum. You'll see these as vocabulary items in your dictionary. His, suis, sua, and suum. For example, he hits his dog. Pulsat, canem, suum. He hits his own dog. Hers, well, hers would be sua here, any form of that. Okay? So that takes care of our possessive adjectives. Our, my, your, his, hers, or its. This would be its here. He stubbed his toe. Okay, well, they take a skipperly.